Okay, here we go. Second. Layer. Display capture. Nope. That's not it. Okay. Capture. Okay, there we go. Now, get out of here, get out of here, and there we go. So, let's get started, shall we? As soon as I can figure out how to fit in. Okay, there we go. Alright. Oh man, that's kind of dark. I think it would be better uh, if the author had put like a red on the black, maybe like with a bright red. That way you can see it better. Let's go here to preferences, uh, colors. Here's something dark. See if that works. Okay, that's better. Alright, chapter 1. Ishmael, an anomaly. Ishmael strode beneath the lone eyes of Virgo's casting their judgment. Sharing his own, the curl of his lip could not be clouded as he entered Ashbury, inhaling the scent of chalk, dust, and damp wool, the smell of every human interaction that believed itself sacred before falling on the spirit of foolish pride. Clawing his stride, he looked over oil paintings and woven tapestries decorating the schoolhouse walls. Hideous, ugly things, chosen by one who had no eye for art. Nothing he, if his life was worth it, would choose. Standing patiently beneath within the corridor, hands clasped and spine straight, he waited. Children squealing from school grounds where his son Alaric should have been, perched in sharp hearing. Sighing deeply, he flicked his sable eyes to a row of pegs covered with small coats. Each one hung with the careless faith of youth who believed the world would not change before dismissal. A large sun-colored peacoat had been placed in that familiar way. and he said nothing as he guarded and caught the reflection in the white gleaming glass upon the wall. With eyes unblinking, long hair falling freely in a dark river, his unnatural stillness belied any normalcy. Further beneath that lay an ancient tiredness of the world moving too quickly. He wondered if Alaric had felt the same just hours before. From behind, a matron, grasped at the sight of him, and flying to her chest as he turned. It was always the same, even though void of fence and softening himself for the human threshold. His name cast a shadow. Ishmael Valen? Ah, you are the one who called. Yes. With a wave of hand, he was led to the end of the corridor. Two heartbeats pulsed behind the door instead of the solitary beat of the man he despised. Head tilted as he listened to the sound, he allowed himself to be ushered inside a small office, one with a cold soul that would not touch the frost of his skin. Papers cluttered the desk of a man who sat as a judge, appointed by no one but his own feel. Headmaster Noble. Ignoring him, Ishmael bowed his head to the woman who shut the door without meeting his eyes. How quaint! And yet it would be, as I claimed, as rude for simply being, offering no smile or pleasant word for the man he spoke. He stood with false piety. Ishmael knew he nor Alaric were welcome within these halls. Mr. Valen, thank you for coming so promptly. Oh, yes. Recall the manners taught you within these Monterey halls. Noble, such a good name wasted on one such as you. The headmaster motioned to a chair sitting opposite his desk, its wood scratched with years of anxious fingers. Ishmael remained standing, the tiny coat folded over one arm. From the window came a hum, and Ishmael put his eyes toward a tall young man dressed in simple linen clothing. His blonded chestnut hair, threaded with gold, complemented gentle hazel eyes. The second beating heart he had heard belonged to a man who did not glance away from him as he looked into a gaze that felt far more familiar than it should have. A shiver thrilled up his fingers, Ishmael's spine. Disconcernment, unable to decipher why the man's handsome presence unsettled him more than the headmaster's hostility. Ishmael, exhaling, Ishmael forced his attention back to the headmaster. I tend to, in matters concerning my child. Noble's gaze went to his mouth, but Ishmael did not smile. It was not pleasant to read the man thought, but silently searching for fangs. Still as a statue, he let the quiet become tense as the door behind us swung wide open. A small figure dipped into the room with the reluctant shovel of someone anticipating a scolding. Alert. One more moment, please. Damn, is that not working? Okay, there it goes. Lock it, and here we go. Shit. His auburn-haired dawn came too for school was in softest array. He's pink with the autumn chill and eyes far too bright. Oh, my little one, Ishmael thought. A light glanced between him and the headmaster, his mask of bravery falling away at the sight of his father. Mouth trembling, he curled his fingers on the strap of his satchel. Ishmael knew the boy wished to run to him and bury his face within his cloak, or his protective light to open his arms and give comfort. What has happened? Ishmael asked. Headmaster Lovell cleared his throat. Your son has caused an incident. Oh? Ishmael thought. He turned his gaze to Alaric, voice calm and steady. Alaric, speak. Ishmael no longer regarded the headmaster, who sat back with steepled fingers, no more an interest to him than a totem on a graveyard. Didn't mean to, father. I really didn't. Spoken to, not as Ishmael Vallon, the vampire who construed the shaky peace between humans and monsters, but as a father to a 9-year-old boy, a child whose adoration believed him capable of committing when the sun rose and set. That is not what I asked, Ishmael replied. Tell me what occurred. He disrupted the lesson and frightened the entire classroom of children. He, as his eyes latched on the man, his words died as if a clan closed around his throat. Ishmael remained poised, merely holding his gaze steady as winter. Then he turned back to Lark, brows raised. Miss Henley was reading. A large voice came out small. Patiently, Ishmael nodded. And then it got really cold, and the air felt thin, like when we stand on top of the hill when it's windy. Pressing one of the main rings upon his fingers, Ishmael pondered. No lie, painted Alaric's features, brightly pleading in childish way to be believed. The veil thinning once more, Ishmael thought. Headmaster Lovell shifted in his chair, face reddening. You see? Breathing quickly, Alaric rushed on, speech so quick it was almost garbled. I heard, father, just like you said the last time. Like when you put your ear in a seashell and you can hear the ocean, except it wasn't the ocean, it was. His flash flashed up to Ishmael. It's Miss Harrow again. Though his expression remained composed, an icy hand squeezed Ishmael's heart. Alarm was cooled through channels of his flesh. He worked his second thought. But the boy's ninth year brought with it a change. With it, with it a change in the natural he scarcely understood. Hmm. And what did I tell you about your discussion with Miss Harrow? To not talk about her at school. But she was right there, right this time. The headmaster's mouth tightened like a man who's bitten into a bitter fruit. There was no one there, Lark. No one. The boy snapped his gaze at the man. anger flying throughout the fear. Yes, she was. You even said my penmanship was getting better, and she's nicer than you. Mintu interrupted with beasts made of spite. Ignoring him, Ishmael said, "Little one." A large crumpled, and Ishmael wished to gather him within his arms. "I'm sorry." Silence, heavy snow, settled over the room, broken by life hidden behind a cough. Ishmael turned his head to the man in the corner, who raised a hand to cover his own mouth. Heartbeat emailed, did not possess past, and he looked away to Alaric once more. And then Alaric, what happened? That was all. She just likes to visit sometimes. I think she misses her classroom. The headmaster's face went ashen. Ishmael wondered if the portrait hung within the schoolhouse, and that is where the challenge had begun. His eyes never leaving Alaric's face until the boy's trembling voice cut through his thoughts. "What do you mean to cause trouble, father? I really didn't." A thin cord in Ishmael's chest snapped for Alaric, who'd been giving a lingering ghost story. "Alaric, you will not fill this office with lies and stories." The true judgment of a man's heart is how he addresses those too small to fight, Ishmael thought. Alaric flinched at the tone. Ishmael turned to the headmaster, voice hushed. "You will not dress him that way." Headmaster Nobleman privately. "Mr. Vallon, I am simply—" "You will not." The headmaster's lips parted, closed again. He flipped to the crucifix on the wall behind his desk, as if he could save him from those who didn't fear the gods. Ishmael returned to his thinking to Alaric. "What did you do when you heard her?" Alaric's eyes shone. "Like I said, we just talked." The headmaster said like he'd been waiting to unleash his disgust. "And that is precisely the issue." A hush settled over the room once more, and now Ishmael was slow to admit he sought the young man's eyes, who stood silently before forcing his gaze away. Large hands clenched into fists at his sides. "I didn't mean to scare anyone." He swallowed hard. "And then Miss Henley asked who I was speaking to, and well, I told her the truth." The headmaster stood erect. "You told the entire class that Screw Marm, who passed 4 years ago, stood in their classroom." Alaric lifted his chin in a stubborn shaking defiance. "She did, and she doesn't like you." Headmaster Rose died to Ishmael, searching for denial. "This is not healthy. This is not normal. This is—" he faltered, as if choosing the least insulting word possible. "Disturbing." Ishmael did not move, but the air did, tightening in a way before storm. As soon as Ishmael was about to speak, the other man's scarlet voice caught his attention. "Disturbing is a bit of a strong word, The man looked to Larkline, and then the boy returned the gesture. "He's a boy, not a ghoul." "Sounds as if a ghost is after your job," has Master Level. "Who are you?" Ishmael thought. Once more, the man held him in a guard that made him request a ring. Turning back to the headmaster, he spat the word silence at the man. Soldiers relaxing, Ishmael quietly looked the man over. His eyes. There, as if I've seen them before, Ishmael thought. Mr. Vallon, I just want to say, more all of us believe our Lord is lying. He's a good kid. And well, there are odder things in the world than a ghost hunt, isn't there? I was reaching in the room next to where it all started. Hmm, did you sort my child out with fear or contempt? Ishmael wondered. Yes, he is. Good afternoon to you. He indulged himself with a final sweeping look over the man before turning his back once more. For a fleeting moment, he imagined that if he stayed a moment longer, he would have said something he would not unsay. Did not unsay. Upon his back, he felt a similar regard given as he and Elias stepped from the shadows of Ashbury. The carriage went outside like a loyal beast. Lanterns swinging gently in the wind. The driver, Ram, a man with quiet hands and a face that revealed nothing, opened the door. A light climbed in first. Small boots clicking against the step. Ishmael followed, closing the door behind him. With it, the last flood of moon, the taunted, pretended offer's child. The carriage rolled forward, and the light stared at Lorna, jaw clenched so hard enough to crack. Ishmael watched him in silence for several long moments and spoke softly. My little one, you do know others do not understand, and you know how you're to be respectful within school halls. A light head snapped toward him. I know I shouldn't have said nothing to her. I should have ignored her. But she's nice, and I like her. I like Miss Hanley too, and I didn't want to lie. I know you're a no liar, and you are not ashamed for being one. But Elias brushed out. Am I in trouble? He whispered. Ishmael looked deep into the boy's eyes. No, you did nothing wrong by showing compassion. The wrong began to the adults who make fear into a weapon. Elias gulped. They said I was a heathen. A heathen? I don't even know what that is. Ishmael leaned forward, clutching the large teeth as his jaw looked gray. Look at me. The large mouth twisted and he shook his head. Tears finally falling. That Ishmael slipped away. Father, what am I? Shared pain passed between them, Ishmael keeping his voice as the gentle girl cradled his child to sleep when he was a swaddled babe. I do not know. I did not know the moment I found you, nor when your newborn wails extinguished candlelight. You are a lark, Percival, Min Valen. You are my son, and poison drip from ignorant tongues is not to fill your thoughts. A light gulped his hand like he afraid the world would snatch Ishmael away. And a short stop at the bakery will not be missed, will it? Do I have to come back? Ishmael said nothing regarding the fact that the boys no longer go on with Ashbury's halls. You are not returning, not to be shamed or insulted. I will not allow it. But what about learning? Eli's voice wavered. Ishmael's gaze shifted to the rain-draped windows, the trees passing like ghosts. I will find you someone who will not fear you and who possesses a shred of common sense. So, not you? Ishmael said nothing. The light blinked. Like who then? Ishmael's mind turned to practicality, an indicator. Someone schooled enough to guide a lark, but not delicate enough to break when the manner whispered back. Someone who could handle a child who spoke to the dead. Someone who might, if the world showed any mercy, understand what it meant to hear voices that weren't there. Ishmael grabbed the lark's hand. A tutor. Who? The lark asked. You know, teacher? Ishmael stared ahead into the rain. I believe one may have already presented himself, he murmured, looking into the disappearing schoolhouse behind them. Ishmael clapped his hands to his lap, conjuring the man's tall form into his mind. The question quiet over rolling courtiers. Who's the man in the hall? That's Mr. O'More, father. He's nice, but he does do make us do a lot of work. He won't even take a light assignment. He took Miss Bright's spot open until she comes back. Mr. O'More, what a beautiful name, Ishmael thought. Now, 1 second. Alright. Next step is a danceable and blade. Okay. Prologue. The stage is set. Of arrow and sword. Legends dance, of tales foretold. Blade and bow, as nay foreknown, what falls here may be true, even if I lie to you. Chapter 1. An odd dream. It started in the forest as it so often does. Only it did not look like the forest Val was familiar with. Plates of sunlight parted, filtered through, thinning brittle and bare branches above like an open curtain. The air was heavy with death and loss. Every step forward, another blade beneath Val's shoe wilted and faded brown. The world was quiet, with nary the song of bird nor insect. The world was still, with nary a breeze. A cool chill of dread ran down her spine despite the merciless sun beating down upon her and the land. She gripped her sword tighter in anticipation, but nowhere could a knife so hide. save a twisted hollow tree split clear for the middle. Clearly, it beckoned her forward with blackened and shriveled hands, reaching as though for her. She shuddered, fighting the urge to turn and run. Either side the split pulled open like a doorway. Instead of further desolation inside, nothing but darkness and the faintest echo of the only few drops of moisture could be found. Nights are brave, she reminded herself. Nights are strong. When that didn't work, she fought the mocking that surely awaited her by the door should Kai find out. And when that too proved no better inspiration, she fought for Queen, her friend, with a deep breath of the dry, stale air. She stepped through. It was like blinking. A second of darkness, followed by a flash of light. She was still amid a wasteland, and the sun blinded once more. The dripping must have been nothing but an illusion, she reasoned. Or it could have been sweat on the metal of her armor. Her throat was about as parched as the ground beneath her feet. She would have given anything for the relief of those few drops. And a lee of trees stretched before her, but these trees were of a different sort. Colors speckled above. First it gave her hope. Bursts of life, surely. Strange leaves or flowers, perhaps. Alas, when she squinted at the curious sight, they were she realized they were mere scraps of fabric tied to the branches. That the snaking path she followed was a riverbed long since dried up. It came to a fork, and standing there was a towering figure wearing dark furs back to her. A crown topped the head, and a hand, like that monstrosity of tree, reached in the riverbed. Out of the cracked earth, the hand pulled free a silver speckled fish. Val sight, drenched in sweat, and her throat a desert. Light tumbled through the window, illuminating the stone walls that surrounded her. Outside her door, she could make out the hustle and bustle of castle life. She lay back into the soft comfort of her bed and frowned at the ceiling above her, eyebrows folded inward. What an odd dream. There are some trigger warnings for this book. Domestic violence, stalking, attempted sexual assault, and transphobia. So be careful. Beckett stood beneath the counter of Jabberwocky Cafe and Bakery. She looked at a handful of customers. Jabberwocky was in the sleepy village of Castle Combe, England. It was well known that people came from all over England just to drink her coffee and eat her baked goods. She baked her own pastries, gathered ingredients from the garden behind the shop, and personally roasted every coffee bean. She had never been interested in the culinary world, but she wanted every ingredient to be the freshest and best around. Beckett spent her mornings in the cafe 7 days a week and spent the afternoons curled up with tea, the cafe guardians, and a good book. Unlike her best mate, Rainbow found something for her to do. Rainbow and Beckett had been mates since primary school. They had been through many ups and downs in life and had seen many changes in each other. Rainbow was born male, but in 2006, when she was 14, she was asked to be put on hormones, and her parents happily agreed. Beckett loved the fact that Rainbow's parents supported her choices in life. Not enough parents did, especially not Beckett. The coffee shop was decorated in bright colors and beautiful art. The cozy sofas and soft chairs were all different colors. Each bistro chair was a different color and style. Plants hung from the beams on the ceiling. The whole place was centered around a large painting of Alice and the Cheshire Cat from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Sometimes new people were fun up at the decorations. The outside was quaint and matched the traditional brick buildings that surround the cafe, but the inside was wild and colorful. To the English shock, most customers were happy to order a cup of coffee and pastry. Almost every morning, the comfy sized, oversized chairs were filled with patrons. Margaret loved her cafe, her best mate, and the cafe guardians. A pair of cats who spent most of their days curled up on the counter. But there was something missing in Beckett's life. She just couldn't put her finger on it. Um, and that I'm currently done. Um, I have not been able to get any of Joanna's books just yet. Um, I'm kind of broke, so it's just something I'll probably have to do next time. But hopefully you all enjoyed. Later.